Another court battle, as I told you about last week a little bit, is against Hillary Clinton. So Hillary Clinton was ordered deposed by a federal court judge in a Judicial Watch Freedom of Information Act case. We're seeking the Benghazi talking points. This is the lawsuit that exposed the Clinton email scandal. And the judge in late 2017 began allowing Judicial Watch to conduct discovery. What is discovery? I know as a non-lawyer, I'm used to these words, and one thing I always tell my colleagues is that we have to recognize that ordinary Americans don't recognize these legal words necessarily, although they're a lot more in play now because of television procedurals and things, police procedurals and things like that. But discovery is essentially taking evidence. We get to get documents, we get to bring in witnesses to testify, we can send written questions that need to be responded to under oath. They're called interrogatories. So long story short, the court authorized discovery and allowed us, at least through 2019, it was the end of 2018, he began, the discovery was authorized, excuse me. So in 2019, we deposed about 20 witnesses. And the judge was interested in the following: did Mrs. Clinton use the Clinton email system to avoid FOIA? Did they try to game the court? Did they try to hoodwink the court into shutting our case down before they were forced to admit the Clinton emails? And C, where are the rest of Hillary's emails? So we found more and more evidence that there's something going wrong here. We've confirmed Mrs. Clinton was warned repeatedly. The State Department knew about her email system, didn't tell anyone about it. The Obama White House was involved in its cover-up. They're still finding Clinton emails. I'll talk about that later. And he also found that Hillary Clinton's previous answers on the topics I'm talking about were insufficient. And so he wanted her to testify. And so the testimony was ordered within 75 days, which would have ended May 16th. And just last week, Hillary Clinton ran to court and filed an extraordinary motion. It's called a mandamus petition. You know, I call it an appeal, but it's not even technically an appeal. It's almost like she's suing the lower court, going to the appellate court to stop the lower court from doing something improper. So just to describe it that way shows you how extraordinary it is and how unlikely in the ordinary course how unlikely it would succeed in the ordinary course. She's saying there's an extraordinary emergency situation that requires this unusual intervention by the appellate court to overturn and stop her from being deposed. And her logic is, in the brief, is that she has an indisputable right not to be questioned under oath about these issues. Indisputable right. So the brief was filed last week, as I've told you before. And since then, the court has gotten back to us and said, look, you've got 10 days to respond to Mrs. Clinton, and she has 10 days to reply to you. So that puts it out to the briefing period through April 10th, which is pretty darn quick. It's 20 days. So I would presume they'll have arguments shortly thereafter. So this case is proceeding apace, but other aspects of the lawsuit of discovery will continue. Now, Cheryl Mills, her top aide, her chief of staff at the State Department, and then the lawyer who was given immunity by the FBI, Cheryl Mills, and who's also actually responsible for helping delete half of her emails, Hillary Clinton's emails, all those 33,000 emails. The court authorized us to grant her, have her testify as well. She appealed along with Mrs. Clinton. But the court also authorized us to depose 2 State Department witnesses, so we're trying to get them scheduled. And then there's a subpoena to Google because one of her email people had supposedly sent all of her emails to a Google email address. So the court, as I said, wants to find out where her emails might be. And so he authorized the subpoena on Google. Now, because of the coronavirus crisis, we may not complete discovery by May 15th. It may be extended a bit. I don't know how that's going to turn out. But Mrs. Clinton wasn't using the coronavirus to avoid testimony. She's just saying that she's too important, practically speaking, to have to testify to us. Really an incredible position given her direct personal knowledge of this. I mean, look, we're asking about the Clinton email case, right? Who else would we talk to than the person who set it up, Hillary Clinton? I mean, it's just basic. I mean, we recognize, and the courts recognize, that senior government officials, even if they're, quote, former senior government officials, you know, you just don't get to depose them willy-nilly every time you've got a dispute with the federal government. In this case, it's about her email system and how it was set up, and did it avoid FOIA? What was she told about that topic? How did she think people were going to get her emails if they were being kept secret from everyone? Those are the sorts of questions the court wants answered. And Mrs. Clinton doesn't want to answer them. She's desperate to stop this questioning by Judicial Watch because no one has asked her questions like this before. No one. In the last week's episode of our weekly update, I read you the entire court ruling. And I encourage you to go and look at our Judge Lambert's ruling on our internet site at judicialwatch.org. We'll try to post it here as well. Read it, and you'll see why she's desperate to avoid questioning by our top flight attorneys. Because we know what the issues are. The court wants specific questions answered. And now she's seeking this extraordinary emergency intervention to stop us from getting the questions answered. So the question now I have is, what is the Justice Department going to do about this? Because I told you this is really an abuse that Mrs. Clinton is doing here in terms of this mandamus petition. What's the Justice Department's position? They've been colluding with Hillary on this issue. Her people, her witness, her lawyers. They've been helping her. They've been defending her. They didn't want us to depose Hillary Clinton. They thought that there should be no additional questions asked of anyone. What are they going to do about this? Are they going to remain silent, neutral? Are they going to support Mrs. Clinton? What they should do is come in on our side. You can guess what you can guess how likely that is. So the Justice Department has been defending Hillary Clinton. The court overrode the Justice Department's objections, the State Department's objections, Hillary Clinton's objections, and rather than just submit to discovery as the court ordered, Hillary Clinton has run to the court in a desperate effort, the upper courts, in a desperate effort to stop us from questioning her. So I'll keep you updated as events warrant. As I said, our brief is due in 10 days, and then their brief is due. And I presume the court will have some oral arguments, which means our lawyers will have to go to court versus Hillary Clinton's lawyers before a 3-judge panel. So I'll let you know how that turns out. So I tell you, don't you love Judicial Watch? I keep on asking you that, but don't you love Judicial Watch? We're fighting Adam Schiff to try to get records about his misconduct. We uncovered the Clinton email scandal, and Mrs. Clinton now is in a tooth and nail battle with us in court about whether she's questioned under oath. Who else does this? Who else? We're doing it over the objections of the State Department and Justice Department. I know we complain about the problems with the rule of law here, but isn't the law wonderful when it works here in the United States? Because there's no other place in the world where it works like this. We can go in and beat the biggest government agencies, some of the most powerful government agencies in the history of the world, thanks to the rule of law that is still in existence here in the United States. And this is why our work is so important and why you should be supporting it, because we have this precious, precious right to challenge our government in court, petition our government, and be on equal footing, more or less. I know it's often David versus Goliath, but because of the rule of law, it's often Goliath versus Goliath, because we've got the Constitution on our back. We have federal law at our back. And because the laws are sometimes followed by the courts and upheld by the courts, more often than you might think, we can beat back the deep state. We can beat back powerful politicians like Hillary Clinton. That's why I love Judicial Watch, because A, we do the work that everyone else is afraid to do, but B, we show you that the American system and our country is the greatest country in the world as a result of our work. We uncover the corruption, but the fact that we're able to do it is such a wonderful vindication of our way of life here in the United States. It really is.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all the latest news from Judicial Watch.